Okay, firstly, thank you all for joining us at Maynooth University for our CAO information evening. You're all very welcome to the session, which will focus on our offerings in science and engineering. My name is Amanda Cardiff. I work as the Faculty of Science and Engineering Marketing Officer. We're delighted to have you here tonight with us, and we hope you'll find these talks both enjoyable and informative. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A section. We'll address them towards the end. We'd love to hear your questions, so don't hesitate to ask. Let me introduce our speakers for the evening. Leading the session is Professor John Keating, Associate Dean for Teaching and Learning in the Faculty of Science and Engineering at Maynooth University. Professor Keating brings a wealth of experience, having worked in various roles at the university over many years. As a former student of Maynooth, he also offers a unique perspective on what it's like to study here. We're also delighted to be joined by two of our current students from the Faculty of Science and Engineering. Ava, a fourth-year student studying Bachelor of Science programme, studying biology and chemistry. CJ, a third-year student in the Bachelor of Science programme, studying chemistry and physics. Ava and CJ have kindly taken time out of their busy schedules, including their exams, to share their insights into studying this degree. We'll also talk about their experiences as students at Maynooth University. With that, I'll hand over to Professor Keating to get us started. Thanks, John.
Lovely. Thank you, Amanda. I hope you can all see this now. Yeah, perfect. So welcome everyone, and thank you for coming this evening. So I'm John Keating. I'm a member of the Department of Computer Science in Maynooth, but for the last 3 years, I've been working as the Associate Dean for Teaching and Learning in the Faculty of Science and Engineering. It's like a really long title, but it's probably the longest one on campus, but it actually accurately describes what I do. I spend a lot of time thinking about teaching and about learning and students and courses and new offerings and how we're doing and also all things related to education. Um, I currently supervise a PhD student. I'm active engaged in research and teaching in the department as well. So it's a pleasure to be here, really representing not just the department but also the university. So it's like a dual role in a way. As Amanda said, I'm a graduate of Maynooth, so I came to Maynooth to study MH201 back in 1982, and then I completed an honours degree in physics and experimental physics as it was then, and mathematics. And then in 1986, when I finished that, I moved and did uh, just physics exclusively, and did a PhD in atmospheric physics in the department on campus as well. So double graduate here, and then in 1990, when I finished, I joined the staff in computer science. Um, you might think, well, you did physics, why computer science? So in many respects, back in 1990, we didn't, you could join physics, computer science departments from physics if you looked and focused on hardware and development and those kind of electronic aspects to it, which we would have spent a lot of time doing in physics. But um, remember, what you study in Maynooth and elsewhere in terms of your undergraduate degree and even later degrees is probably a first degree for you. I mean, it's unlikely now that the roles that you will want to engage with or do later on in life, will actually exist. Some of them, for example, with AI, we don't know what roles are going to be there. Some will disappear now, but what we'd like to think is that the degrees that we offer in Maynooth will really give you that learning experience and that understanding of who you are as a learner, as a person, and your competencies, so that you will be able to adapt. And the skills that you have are generic in a way, or generalizable, I suppose is probably a better word, really. And while you know about the subjects that you do, you also have this meta level understanding of the way science is, the way engineering is, and how what you have learned will help you advance a little bit later. And that's really what we're trying to do here. So let me tell you a little bit about uh, what's happening here. So I'm going to talk to you about STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, um, at Maynooth University. And so we're going to talk about MH201, which is our general omnibus degree. I'll talk a little bit about the specialized science and engineering degrees, and again later we'll see about the student perspectives on these. So the Faculty of Science and Engineering at Maynooth comprises of a number of departments. So we have biology, chemistry, computer science, electronic engineering, experimental physics, mathematical physics, mathematics, and psychology. And that's a mix which is is different to probably science departments and engineering departments elsewhere, where you would have separation, different levels of separation. What it means for us, and for you as an incoming student, is it gives you a choice of subjects that you can combine that may actually be unique to doing in Maynooth, and you might not be able to try this elsewhere. And that's quite nice, and it makes up who we are. The mathematical physics department and experimental physics department have merged to become a department of physics, but they have that unique identity with subjects that they actually provide to incoming students. Um, and so you can choose four of these in first year. We see it a little bit later. But in addition to us being somewhere where you can learn the subjects, you also have access to leading researchers working in research institutes. We have the Cowan Institute, the Hamilton Institute, the Institute for Immunology, National Centre for Geocomputation. You'll also develop strong problem solving and analytical skills. That's at the core of all science. Here's a problem, and we want you to understand, how you look and tackle at some unknown problem, that you may or not have seen before, maybe others haven't seen before. And how do you solve that problem based on around the techniques and skills that you have? You know, it's a really, really interesting way to look at science. Sometimes that might mean that you have to design an experiment. It might mean, you have to understand the mathematics. You may have to model something. You might have to build a piece of equipment to record something. You might need to craft a computer program that's new and novel that hasn't been done before, for example. And based on the learning experiences you have as you move through the degree, we scaffold the learning and the processes as we move through. So, and that means we've got this reinforcements of your skills through practical sessions. There are fantastic labs here. Um, and they're constantly being improved. And, that's across the faculty. One of the things that's really important to students, and we know it's important to students, is that you want to be able to have access to advanced teamwork, leadership, numeracy skills. All of these things are really valued in the workplace, but they're also good at forming and helping you be a good engineer, a good scientist, good computer scientist, mathematician, whatever label you want to have at that particular time. They will all help with that. I mean, we have group projects, we have presentation skills, we also have critical skills opportunities for students to be able to look at developing specific kinds of skills that they may be interested in doing. And I'm sure, my co-presenters will tell you a little bit about wonderful summer opportunities and intern opportunities and SPAR and Muse and all of these things as well that you'll be able to avail of in Maynooth. So I guess what we like to think about the MH201 is that it's your degree and your choice of subjects, and it shapes your future. It means you have this flexibility to make some informed decision. So you start off and you can choose your subjects at the beginning of the semester when you start. You have 4 weeks to finalize those. It's probably a little bit long, to do that. And it's probably a bit long to make your decision after 4 weeks, because that only gives you 8 weeks then to work on the subject. But it's there for you should you need it, and sometimes, it might take a little while to feel, well, actually, this is not the subject for me, you know. And but we would work and advise students. There's lots of people available that can help with that, and both in the academic departments and in student services and from the students' union, in fact, so people who will know and have experiences, and it's great to see that. And there are transfer options. A couple of three little stars on this. There's all sorts of limited transfer options. Sometimes it's quite technical in terms of how you performed in your subjects. There may be limited number of places to switch to a different degree program, a different code program, for example, and so forth. And they will change maybe from year to year in availability and so forth. But we have colleagues on campus who specialize in being able to help you with this kind of thing. So if you need that, always ask. So get into MH201, you need six Leaving Cert subjects, two Honours 5, four Honours 6, Higher 7 in Irish, English, and a science subject. And, that's a list of science subjects there. You need to have an okay mark in mathematics. We don't have a language requirement. And in 2024, we had 350 points or something. So like it's it can go up and go down depending on those. What's really interesting, and I can tell you, I know about this work because I do and spend a lot of time looking at data. Because we see, for example, 350 for Minute, that doesn't mean that everybody who comes into Minute is 350 on this program. In fact, we have students who are well into the 650s. We have lots of students with very high marks and very high points coming through on MH201 and other subjects as well. So, we that's kind of a requirement that we believe will be there and be enough for you to be able to deal with the competency requirements in the first few weeks. It'll scaffold and we'll build on those as we move through. But while that is the lowest entry point, believe me, it's nowhere close to the highest entry point. So point is that MH201 is for anyone who wants to have a general education in science with a view to specializing as you move through a little bit later, if you have some experience with those subjects. So there are eight subjects. You can choose maths plus three other subjects. And we often say, well, why do I have to study maths? Well, mathematics is the language of science, I mean, it's part one of the languages of science anyway, and it allows us to be able to express problems in a way that we can then solve and understand. And also it allows us to be able to talk to other people in a way that they can understand as well. We can't have some obscure language to describe phenomena and how we interact with those phenomena, for example. So that's why we have maths, and we need to understand the language of maths. So, for example, you will do maths in school, and you know about a vector. For example, if you heard about vectors, well, if I ask you, what's the difference between speed and acceleration, for example, and I ask you about speed. So when you talk about speed, it's a quantity that you move. But if I actually say, well, here's something moving at this speed, and it's moving in this direction, then we suddenly change from speed to velocity. So, so that's a mathematical perspective that allows us to be able to do real world stuff, you know? And so we need that maths, and you need that maths if you want to study science. So, but a lot of this will come clear on what the requirements are over the first 4 weeks. In second year, you have these critical skills and electives that allow you to be able to do more interesting stuff or other interesting stuff that, you can shape who you are and what you want to do and the kind of things you would like. It may not be a science subject, for example. It could be from some other discipline. You might be ultimately interested in science communication or science writing. You might want to have something that develops your linguistic or language competencies. And these are opportunities to be able to do this work as well. So it's why we have those. So we have those opportunities for our students, and works with all the various combinations. And these are constantly changing, for example, constantly changing. So I'm working on an elective skill on AI and ethics with a colleague at the moment. So we hope that that will become available for people as well. So it's might not be directly in the degree you're studying, but it matters for you, it matters for society, matters for your development, and there's an opportunity for you to be able to do that kind of work as well. So in first year then, you can choose biology, chemistry, computer science, data science, engineering science, environmental physics, and math physics. And then you continue with three subjects after first year, two subjects in third year, and either two or one, depending on whether you want a single or double honours degree for fourth year. You could work your right through to do physics, to, for example, a single honours in computer science, single honours in physics, a double honours in mathematics and physics, all of these options. And you have a bunch of electives and credits you can have along the way. And as I said, there are various transfer options after first year, but you can check the perspective for what's available in any particular given year to see what those criteria are. So here are some of them, for example, and I'll just read the first one just so we get a sense of it. So if you take a first year MH201 and you might like to switch to the MH202, which is the biotech degree, then you have to have taken biology, chemistry, maths, plus one other first year subject, and you must achieve an overall grade of 60%, and the places are limited and are based on results. So you have to hit 60 as a minimum. There will be a limited number of places. you need to be shooting for 80% in your in your subject, 90% if you want to get in there. Okay. So everything has a constraint, in terms of how you do this. Okay. We need you to be good at what you do in order to be able to attend and move to these, because the students who start off on those programs may be taking some modules that you won't have taken, but they will cover some of the skills. And we want to be sure that your skills are right on point in order to be able to keep with those students. These are safeguards for you to be sure that when you do switch, you're capable of dealing with that topic and that level of specializations that's there. You've demonstrated you can do, because if you don't, then there's nowhere else to go in a way at times. So we're very careful on this. Some really interesting ones, there's moving into science with education. Of course, I'm interested in education, so that's a lovely one there. Um, so there are many options. And so, talk to us about those if that interests you. Um, I have to get my machine to do its click on to the next screen thing. Okay, so there are various pathways, as I said, this gives you a sense of how we organize what you do. So everything we teach is broken into credits. Okay, so when you think about the workload associated with a degree, no one degree is easier than any other degree. Okay, you know, there are different specializations. So we notionally um, have a quantity of work associated with a credit. Okay, so if you think about credits and uh, as a measure of the amount of workload that you have, then every year you have 60 credits of work. So in first year, if you're four subjects, that equally, so there are 15 credits of work across all subjects. Now that means that no one subject is easier than another subject, in terms of, or there's a different expectation in terms of the workload. It's all balanced. So, 15 ECTS, or, the credits, uh, 5 ECTS credits equates about 100 and some 111 hours of work. That includes the lecture work, the practical work, personal study time, exam time, and all of that. So you have a sense of how much time is expected of you in order to be able to do that work. Um, as you move on to second year, for example, we look at 20 and 20 in the subject that you've chosen. It could be computer science and physics, for example, here. And then 20 or third year, it could be, chemistry, for example, or you could be doing some 10 of chemistry and 10 of an elective. Again, 30 credits for third year, breaking down to two subjects. And in fourth year, you carry that 30-30 split in terms of the workload, or 60 if you stick with a single subject. So everything is measured and worked out so that we ensure that the amount of work that you do is fair across the various subjects. And all degrees have this, and it's an international agreement. So you can see that we're carefully managing the workload for all of our students across all programs at all times. Um, so do you take a single or double major, a double degree? The best way, well, the courses offer you the flexibility to make your choices that you're familiar with. So what's right for you depends on what your plans and interests are. So we have students who take, for example, computer science and software engineering as a denominated entry degree. But we also have students who then take single honors in computer science only, because they're more interested in the computer science and some aspects of that computer science than they would with the software engineering aspects. And the engineering is about just building software programs and good design patterns. But there may be other aspects of computation that aren't necessarily software engineering. Although students doing a single honors in computer science starting with MH201 have an opportunity to take it through that way. I had a student many years ago who did computer science and mathematical physics because he needed the mathematical physics in order to be able to do the modeling of the world. And he needed the computer science to be able to build models. And he ended up working for Microsoft in game development, after this, because that's what you need to do in order to be able to understand games these days, is build models of worlds using mathematical physics and then realizing them with computer science and code. So he made choices as he moved through to decide what was best, and lots of students take these kinds of decisions. And um, it's that personal choice and personal crafting that's available to you is what makes MH201 so brilliant. I did MH201, of course, so I might just be biased and say that. But there we talk about MH201 no bounds, but I mentioned already that I had a student who worked in the game industry, and you can see from this that we know, and Amanda does a lot of work on this, that we know where our students go and what they do, and all of these roles that we know have been taken by MH201 students. You know, and there are more. Okay, you can do and be involved in really good things, really interesting work. You can not just learn about science here, in the Newt with MH201. You learn to be a scientist. It's about being that position, and it's helping you to get to be the person you want to be in that role you want to take. So that's why we do what we do. So there are specialized degrees, and you might know what you want to study. I mean, but you might decide early on, I want to do this, I want to do something. I knew, for example, I knew when I was a student, we didn't have all these specialized degrees. I knew I wanted to do biology. I absolutely knew that was what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a biology teacher. That was my thing. I came to university having not studied physics, not studied chemistry. I had some maths, and I studied biology, and I was good at biology, and that was it. The rest I did English and Irish and business studies and all that, but I wanted to be a biology teacher, and I could get in on the program, so that was fine. After 2 months in Maynooth, I discovered physics. And so I started studying experimental physics, mathematical physics, mathematics, and biology, having not studied two of them before, ever. There were great supports with Maynooth. It's still the case. After first year, I dropped biology and said, I never want to see that again. you know, and then I discovered physics, and the rest is history. I got a PhD in physics after studying. I didn't do it in school, none of that stuff. I mean, but you can be so entrenched in a way, saying, I'm going to do this, I want to do it. And it can work out well and be a great thing. But in my case, it didn't work out well. And if I hadn't done Image 201, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to be able to switch and move and do the things that I loved. And actually, things I turns out I was actually okay at as well. So nothing wrong with having a specialized degree. We cater, and we have those as well. There are wonderful degree programs here. We have these two new ones on sports science and health. So, well, I say new, they're in operation a couple of years now. And we have food science and human nutrition, a new one. We're constantly evolving and producing new degrees. And that's always good to check and see what's available in Maynooth. Um, some more really, really interesting ones. Physics and astrophysics. Look, theoretical physics and mathematics is a great degree. You can model anything that will ever emerge in the future, and you're well placed to be able to do that. If you have a bent towards that kind of work, it's there for you. Mathematics and computer science with education is fantastic if you want to teach these things. I wanted to be a teacher, and I ended up not being a secondary school teacher, but I ended up being a university teacher in a way. So I still managed to fulfill some of my ambitions and roles that I'd hoped for as a young man entering MH201 way back at 17. Um, we have lots of computer science stuff. I know MH603 is probably going to go through some kind of transformation, but these are really nice ones. Look at computer science and software engineering to arts as well. I know we're mostly focusing in STEM here, but it's a great program too. And again, we have some really excellent engineering degrees. So, for example, we have just the product design, robotics, and intelligent devices. And we look at intelligent devices, we're looking at AI now, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic time to be involved in engineering. So worthwhile looking at that. I mentioned earlier that, we have people who support you. We have fantastic supports in this university. We have it in the faculty, and we have it across the university as a whole. So you can have academic advisory, program advisory, the mathematics support center, the computer science support center, the writing support, language support, career service. All of these things are here to help you with the issues you may have. No one's going to know, by the way, that you have a requirement for some support. You have to tell people, and these people are available, and they understand this, and there's nothing wrong with saying I need some support with something. There is something in the way that's allowing me to advance my knowledge. Well, they'll help you deal with that. in the best possible way. So do avail of them and look up to see what, like, Maynooth is like for this kind of stuff. There's life after Maynooth, as I mentioned. I mean, I talked about the kinds of roles that people will take, but we actually have 75,000 alumni across the globe. They're everywhere. They're in all sorts of things. We recently had an event on the future of AI and the impact on education. And I suppose on society at Maynooth from the alumni. I was there as an alumnus in addition to being a member of the computer science department. Check it out on YouTube. It's a really, really good event. We had somebody from Google, somebody from Microsoft, people who are involved in AI, for example. We have people involved in companies that are utilizing this. We have people who are researchers, who are really shaping the way things are in AI and how we're going to change the way we teach and the way you will learn in an AI world. So we have really good people that will help with that. So there's, there's life after Maynooth and there's a community there should you want to engage with it. So look at the 2024 class. You know, 90% are engaged in full-time work or education. That education usually means that people go onto specialized degrees, master's level degrees or doctoral degrees or something. The average salary is not too bad really in terms of these for graduates. Technical roles in 2024, our graduates are earning a salary that's respectable there. Um, a little bit about the kinds of work that they will do. I'm sure if you did need to get some more details on these, Amanda has full information, and can talk you through, and with an expert eye on what's happening here. I'm just providing a summary here for you. So when you do further studies, there's people heading on to do, doctorates, they're doing MScs, as I mentioned earlier. They're looking at all sorts of more specialized work to go for that position that they want to have a little bit later. Usually these things will take between 1 to 2 years for a master's or top masters, and usually between 3 and 4 years or for a PhD. If you want to come and talk to us in person and see the labs, talk to me, talk to Amanda, talk to the students, talk to Students' Union, talk to Student Services, sit in on a class, do something, see the facilities, experience Maynooth. We have open days, and I think these dates are the wrong dates. Sorry, Amanda. We have an information evening in January.
Apologies there, that they are the right dates, but it's
Yeah,
not 25, it's 26.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Apologies.
That's okay. But April is the main point, right? So
Yeah.
April is our next. We have an information evening, which is like now, but our next face-to-face type thing and open days are in April. So let's hope that we will see you there. Okay, but don't be shy. Come and talk to us by email or online. And in the meantime, if there's anything, so plan your day. There's people you want to meet, or there's things you want to do. Let us know in advance, and you'll be looked after. That's me done. I'm happy to take questions. I know Amanda's recording some questions should they have them, so it's there should you want them. Okay.
Do you want to
I
take some
think,
questions now, John, or would you like to?
yeah, I can answer some
Yeah,
questions now if they're not
there's
too
one
hard.
question there. It's, hi, I'm wondering if you could explain the theoretical physics and mathematical courses. I believe it is an accelerated program.
Yeah, there are accelerated programs. Some of these programs, so they're looking at three-year degrees. I think when I was a student, they were called a math science degree, and basically you spend a huge amount of time just doing these subjects, and yeah, they're quite hard, quite difficult programs. If you're not mathematically inclined, sometimes it takes people a bit of time to get to the level that's required there. But there's huge support in the department for these classes, and people tend to do well in in those programs. But I think it's worthwhile contacting Stephen in the head of mathematics. He'd be only too delighted to actually answer questions around that. Um, I'm not a mathematician. I studied maths, all right, an honours degree in maths, but I'm not a mathematician. But so the nuance I think you could get from Stephen or for sure. And that we'll make a note. So if you wanted to contact us, we can make the connection and you can get some really focused response there. But it's a good program. Not too many students. It's tough, but
I'll
some people are up to that. I'm not.
I'll put Stephen's contact in there now for
Okay.
you, James. So I don't know if we maybe we can hear from the student voice now. Maybe Ava, could you?
Hi everyone. I'm just gonna share my screen now. 2 seconds. Bear with me. There you go. Can you see that? Is that okay? Yeah, perfect. So my name is Ava Kenny and I'm a final year MH201 student and I'm doing a double major in biology and chemistry. So a bit about myself. Um, So, as I said, I'm doing the double major in biology and chemistry. And when I was in school, I had just studied biology. I'd never done chemistry before. So, as John had said, that he had found a new love for physics, I found a new love for chemistry in the end. So, I went in kind of thinking that I wanted to do biology because in school I didn't really know a direction that I wanted to go in. I just knew I liked science, I knew I liked biology, and that was kind of where it was taking me. And I took part in the STEM Passport for Inclusion program, which really showed me that there's so many more opportunities out there in terms of STEM subjects and in the STEM field. So why I chose MH201 in Minute. So as I said, I wasn't really too sure about what I wanted. So the MH201 program has a lot of flexibility. So as John also mentioned, with the choice of subjects. So in your first year, when you go in to choose your subjects, you pick 4 subjects. So I went with biology, chemistry, maths, and computer science in my first year. And I did make use of the first 4 weeks to change my mind. So I changed from computer science into data science, and then I ended up loving that as well. So it's great to kind of show and learn about new things because you may not have thought about that field before, but when you go into first year and you get to try it for the year, and then you may find newfound love for that as well. Um, yeah, so then when I went into second year, I got rid of my data science and I stuck with biology, chemistry, and maths. And a lot of people get scared of the math side of things. So I actually did ordinary level maths for my leaving cert, and I was a bit nervous, a bit hesitant about doing it in college. But it's not a huge step up from what you're doing at your leaving cert, and it is manageable, and there is the support centres there as well. So I did make use of the math support centre in my first and second year and with my assignments, which really helped my understanding of things. Um, and as well for the other subjects as well. So for like biology and chemistry, they do have supports there for them as well. And the lectures are open 90% of the time to help you out. And so if you email them, or they do have open office hours as well, which they can help you if you're struggling with things. Then when I went into my third year, I stuck with biology and chemistry because I preferred more of the practical side of things. And then wasn't too sure whether I wanted to stick with the two, but I ended up sticking with the two for my final year. Um, yeah, so these are just a few of my modules I'm doing at the moment. So when people kind of hear the main subjects is in biology and chemistry, you don't really know what kind of area that's in. Um, so in your final year, you do have quite a lot of options to kind of steer in your own direction of the type of science you like. So some of the options I went for was bioethics and biotech, and molecular ecology, tumor biology, which is kind of the fields I liked. And then for chemistry wise, I went for the atmospheric chemistry, statistical thermodynamics, and electroanalytical chemistry. They were just the fields that I preferred, but there are so many more available as well to choose in your final year. So another reason why I loved MH201 is that it's a lot of hands-on learning. So from first to third year, you're having weekly labs every week for biology and chemistry. I'm not too sure whether it's similar for the other subjects, but for biology and chemistry, you have your weekly labs. And I do find that that really helps with your understanding of things. So what you're learning in your lectures is linked to what you're doing in the labs, which I find is a great way of learning. And with the labs, they are enjoyable. They do make the course enjoyable. I do love them. But it's great as well that the labs and the assignments that you do based on the labs are they go towards your final grade then at the end of the year. So it varies per module, but it does help when it comes to exams and you have so much pressure on you, you kind of know you have a good bit of percentage there with your lab work that you've done. So then there's also a lot of data analysis workshops within that as well, which is huge at the moment as the data side of things is kind of growing. So we do a lot of workshops like that in the course as well. So then in your final year, which I'm going through now, you have your thesis or research project that you do in your final year. So I am doing a double major, so that means I have to split it in two. So in semester one, I had done my biology literature project. So that was complete in semester one. And now I am starting my chemistry laboratory project, which will be exciting now in the next few weeks. So then again, that goes towards your final grade as well. So now this is just a bit about like extracurriculars and student life at Maynooth. So there are many clubs and societies on campus. So I do recommend joining a club or a society as it can kind of give you a sense of belonging on in Maynooth because it's so big, and if you're going from school, which is quite small, it can be quite intimidating going into quite a large space with so many people. So it's nice to kind of make friends and speak to people that you have something in common with. So there's clubs and societies. So the societies, there's over 70, I think, and they could be based on academics. So you have like your biology and chemistry societies, you have faith, political societies, which I haven't tried myself, but that they are there, and a lot of people do make use of them. And then the clubs as well. There's a lot of sports clubs and combat sports and stuff as well, which is brilliant to have. So, as John also spoke about, what MH201 can lead to. So there is so many options, and that's why I do love MH201 because you're not kind of stuck to one area. So as I said, I went into it not really knowing what I wanted to do. And now I've kind of, which is funny that it's kind of similar to John, I'm kind of leaning towards more of the teaching side of things. So I'm hoping to start the PME, which is the Masters in Education, in September, hopefully to go on to do secondary school teaching. But there's so many other options, and my mind could probably change before then. Not really too sure, but there's so many options in terms of masters, postgrads, or graduate programs with different companies. Or you could just go out and find your own thing, and I'm sure that'd be great as well. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. So yeah, I think that's the end of me. I think CJ is gonna say a bit now. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, sorry. Does anybody have any questions before I go? I don't know whether Amanda might.
I think we'll take some questions at the end, Ava.
Yeah,
So
no
if
problem.
you, CJ, if you want to go through your thoughts and
Yeah,
experiences, that would be great.
bear with me 2 seconds. I am technologically challenged. Right. Oh Lord, I've broken something. Oh, okay, now I can see it. Right. Hi, I'm CJ, as you can see. That's me and my dog there. I'm a third year science student. My kind of outside of science hobbies, I play badminton, I'm in Scouts. I've been in Scouts for a long time. And then obviously I like science. My dream job is to work in environmental research and development. So I started off in MH201 because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. When I was in secondary school, I was doing well in school, but I actually really didn't like going to school and I did not like the idea of going to college. And I was like, nope, not doing it. Nope. And a teacher convinced me to attend the Maynooth Open Days, and I went up and I met some lovely people. The environment in Maynooth was completely different to anything I had experienced in kind of prior open days that I had gone to. There was a big focus on finding what I'm happy with and what I enjoy in academia rather than what I can do after the degree program. So that was a big thing for me. There was a lot of support. And then once I had decided that, I did want to go to college and I did want to study science, I really enjoyed the idea of this flexibility through the course and the fact that even after my first year of studying general science, I could go on to continue studying general science rather than kind of pigeonhole myself into a niche. I know that a lot of general science degrees turn out that way. In your second year, you have to specialize into some things that can be very, very narrow. So I liked the broad flexibility and the kind of the feeling of being able to control my own course throughout college rather than continuously have to do things that I wasn't interested in or didn't really enjoy. Um, I'm really happy that I chose this course because it turned out to be pretty much exactly what I expected. There was that big flexibility, that massive amount of support, and so on and so forth. So like my two big selling points were kind of met right then and there. Um, I would, I know that there's a lot of questions about very specific courses, and if you are 100% dead set on that's what you want to do, then that can be the right option for you. But I also know that there's plenty of people who come into MH201 with the intention of specializing in second year, and they end up finding out that they love something that they never thought they'd love. I only took chemistry in first year because I did it in secondary school and I thought I could get through it for the year and then I could focus on physics. So I took experimental physics, mathematical physics, maths, and chemistry. So you can kind of see I was trying to shoe myself into physics, and I really, really loved the chemistry and I loved the environment around chemistry and what I was learning and the overlap between chemistry and physics. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So that was kind of, I always recommend to people to put this course on their CAO form, even if it's not 100% what they want to do, because it opens so many doors for you. Um, After completing my degree, I know I want to go on to study further, but how I want to do so, I'm not really sure yet. I know I want to end up in environmental and sustainable sciences and engineering. I'm really lucky, and I'll talk a bit about this later, but in Maynooth, we have some really fantastic co-curricular opportunities. One of these is a mentorship program. So I actually have an alumni mentor who is talking me through my options, the path that they took and the path that their peers took. So that's kind of where I'm at the minute with that. Um, Moving on to the next bit there. These are some of our co-curricular opportunities. Okay, so co-curricular is kind of like what Ava was talking about earlier with the extracurricular stuff, but it's stuff that's extra to your course. It's more related to what you're studying and your experience in life in academia. So SPUR is our summer program for undergraduate research. It is a rare opportunity in Ireland. It is a research internship for people who are studying in their undergrad. There's not that many of those. You get to partner up with a member of faculty and take part in their research, and you get to write a report in it, and it's really actually enjoyable. I know a lot of people who have done it. We have the Muse Awards. So I know Ava and I both have our Muse Awards. This is where you do something like, say, we're doing now, co-curricular, and you get an award for it and you get recognition and it goes on your degree. There's a lot of learning that goes into it. Micro internships, again, they're similar to SPUR, but they're not from a research perspective. So that'd be kind of like I think we have our museum in Maynooth in the university, our physics and religion museum, and you can work in that and do tours in that. And then we have the STEM passport for inclusion, which I know Ava spoke about as well. The reason I love this course and the reason I recommend this course is because a lot of STEM courses can shoe you into a one box very, very quickly. And it can put a lot of pressure on people who are doing their leaving cert to make this big decision that, look, it's not going to be the be all and end all, but it does put you in a position where you have to do something for the next couple of years, or you have to figure out a way to get out of it if you don't enjoy it. It is completely normal to not know exactly what you want to do for the next 4 years. There's so many different degree programs. There's so many niche degree programs that it can feel very overwhelming to prep for your CAO, especially as you're doing your leaving cert at the same time and all of the decisions kind of come up together. The important thing to remember is that STEM has a lot of routes. There's no one way to become a scientist. There's no one way to become an engineer. There's so many options. This course is great for that. It really lets you control your own course and gives you a bit of that choice back at a slower pace. You can, as I think John and Ava have both mentioned, you have 4 weeks before you have to make a decision or a final decision. You can try out different lectures. I know people who went to, for the first 4 weeks, I think about 8 different modules. They were only registered for 4, but they went to these 8 different modules to see what they actually liked, so that when they made their final decision, they were making an informed decision. In Maynooth, there's never a full stop no. If you really want to do something, if you really enjoy something, and you're really putting in the effort for it, there's lectures and supports there that'll help you get over the line and get to where you want to be. And it is okay to start. Like, I know for me, one of the big concerns was that my degree would be valued less because it was less specific. But what I found is this is actually the opposite. People value my broader knowledge base than some other courses would give you. And it is okay to start with that. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to go in this direction kind of mindset. This is my final bit. It's my personal tips and tricks. What I learned. Talk to everyone. You're going to meet so many people in university between your lecturers, your classmates, your tutors, all these different people. They're going to give you entirely different perspectives on stuff. And they're all going to have their own routes and stuff. So you really want to talk to everyone. Follow your passions and not your results. If you are stronger in, say, maths, but you enjoy chemistry or physics more, go for the chemistry and the physics. I mean, if you're failing out of the subject, maybe reconsider your life choices and how you're getting on. But don't think just because you're doing really well in something that you have to continue it if you don't actually enjoy it. At the end of the day, you're here for an education, not an examination. So you want to make sure you're walking out with the right information. You're walking out with something that you feel proud of and something that you feel aligns with who you are as a person and who you are as a scientist or an engineer. Push yourself in non-academic spheres. Don't be afraid to join a random club or society. A lot of them offer free lunches and free breakfasts throughout the week, so it's always a nice option. But make sure you're getting a full experience at a university. And then my last thing is the potato versus the egg. So the only difference between a potato and an egg is when you put them in boiling water, same boiling water that makes a potato soft hardens an egg. So you can't control the environment or the atmosphere you're being dropped into, but you can choose how you let it affect you. So make sure if you're under pressure, you're reaching out, you're using the right supports, and you're taking it all as experience, not the end goal. No, that's me anyways.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, CJ and Ava and John. I think there was so much wisdom in all of that. I hope you've all taken a lot away from it. I'm just conscious of time. We've been trying to answer your questions throughout, and I've been answering some as well online. There is just one, maybe, or two at the end if we've time for them. So just one anonymous person has said, do many students pursue computer science and biology joint degrees? Would this immediately qualify you for stuff like micro informatics, or would a postgrad be required? Thanks. John.
Yeah, we do have quite a few computer science and biology students to fourth year. It's some really interesting computational biology type projects, and also biology informed computing as well. In fact, we have people in Hamilton Institute doing biology, data analytics, biology, intelligent devices using that combination of computer science and biology. You probably will need to, if you want really specialized, a specialized position later, you will have to do some kind of master's program. But you can be canny, and talk to when you get to fourth year, if it's a double honors, talk to fourth year, um, whoever runs the projects, and ensure to see you can do maybe a project that's, aligned in both subjects. And then as you work, you can also probably look at try getting some of the spur programs. I saw some fantastic posters this year where students are doing computer science and biology, merging them together, and then they were able to bring these into a final year project. And having that specialized kind of final year project targeted at where you want to go is a clever thing to do, and then, may make life easier for you on a master's program, or it may get you into an industry where you have the basic skills and you can be trained up in that company as well. So I would say that's the way to do it for sure. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, John. I'm just conscious of time because we've another seminar or webinar to start at 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to say, if we didn't get to your questions this evening, don't worry. Maynooth University has a chat bot on the website called Ask, where you can submit any of the queries that we didn't get to today, and someone from the university will get back to you with an answer. Some of them were to do with other faculties, so that's why we just didn't have the exact answers for you tonight. So that would be your best avenue, just to get the exact information on those. So to conclude, just a big thank you to all our speakers this evening for sharing your insights. And of course, thank you all for joining us. I hope you found the session informative and enjoyable. We wish you all the very best of luck with your studies in the coming months or years, and we hope that you can make it to one of the upcoming open days this year. We look forward to welcome you on Maynooth University campus in the near future. Until then, take care and have a great evening. Thank you. Bye.